That's an hour and a half.
Right, well, we have a quorum tonight, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 6:40. I'm requesting that all cell phones and electronic devices be turned off or in a mute position as not to disturb the meeting. Any member of the public also has a right to make an audio or video recording of an open session of a public meeting. A member of the public who wishes to record a meeting must first notify the chair and must comply with reasonable requirements regarding audio or video equipment established by the chair so as not to interfere with the meeting. The chair is required to inform other attendees of such recording at the beginning of the meeting. Okay. All right. You have all in attendance, Kat. Do we have any citizens' participation this evening? Anybody who'd like to make any comments? Okay. Business. Okay, I'm going to, before I call Derek, I'm going to have, we've got Marilyn, and I'm sorry, I didn't get your husband's name again. Earl from the recycling committee would like to address the committee. And why don't you come on down here, because it's all televised, and give us your, that's not in your way, is it? Okay. Okay, do you have any more?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That's the main copy. That
Oh, I'm sorry, can I have the,
Some of the, apologize for some of the copies. Our copy was
that's okay.
flaky.
Okay, there you go, Marilyn.
Did everybody get one?
Okay.
Okay. I'm Earl Russell. I'm Marilyn's husband. Of course, she's the recycling coordinator.
Okay.
And we were kind of expecting Mr. Dixon, the treasurer, but he isn't here, but we can proceed without him. The reason for our meeting is we would like to submit a warrant article for a town meeting. The bottom line is we need money to operate, otherwise we'll be forced to close. Meaning the recycling center and all the activities that are performed by the recycling coordinator, which is interfaced with DEP, CMAS, other things. And the reason that we're in this bind, if you want to call it that, is that it's all documented in here, but it costs us $11,000 and change a year to run. The town has funded us $3,000 for a couple of years, and then they upped it to $5,000, which obviously doesn't cover the $11,000. Now we have a revolving fund that we've had for a number of years, and there's a history of it in one of the handouts here. It was initially started by, I'm told by Walmart. It was before my time.
The first Walmart.
First Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Was a donation. And we started out in fiscal year 9 with a balance of $14,796 in there. But we were only funded $3,000 that year. So the fund was depleted. And if you look on, I think it's the third page, it shows how it's depleted down through the years. For 9, 10, 11, 12, and we're coming into 13 with only $1,178 in there. Our income is about an average of $270 a month, and that income is from returnable cans, bottles, white goods, metal, batteries, tires, things like that. It doesn't come to enough to cover the trend, to cover the shortfall. So we're in a position where by March, our revolving fund will be exhausted and our budget will be exhausted. And there won't be a nickel to pay anything at that point unless we're asking for an additional $3,000 to carry us over. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make more money at the center, and we really haven't come up with anything. people say, sell your metal. Well, you know, to sell metal, you gotta have a truck, you gotta have a place to sell it, you gotta have labor to load it on the truck and load it off the truck, and it's worth 9 cents a pound. We took 9,000 pounds roughly of metal in fiscal year 12, which would, at 9 cents a pound, what would that be? $900 roughly, if it
Well,
was
we
a
have
dime a
no
pound.
truck or anything to,
But to get the metal to where you sell it, and the closest place is Bridgewater, hang signs. Yeah,
What do you do with the metal currently?
we have somebody who picks it up for nothing.
For nothing? Okay.
Mhm. We used to be, when Maryland started, that was also before my time, we used to have the town board pick it up, and they charged us for it. Don't ask me why, but they
because
did.
of the use of their
Their
truck.
trucks, they
And
came
they-
loaded up, it takes labor to handle this stuff, you know?
And just so that I understand, if you would,
Okay, that's,
the income that's coming in, you charge people to
yeah, we
leave
do. We
white
charge
goods,
people for
paint,
the white
battery.
goods, and then we give it, basically give it away
Okay.
for somebody to haul it away.
We have like 100 to 150 people on the average coming in on the 2 days that we're open. And we hate to have to close it. And like Earl said, we are making every cent we can through nickel cans. We have our volunteers bring them over and cash them in for money and put them in our revolving fund. And people are bringing their own white goods in too to make money. We're finding that trend is happening too
The white goods
because of the economy.
is trending down, you know, what we bring in is trending down.
Anybody else have any questions? David?
When I look at this, and then I look at the town sells dump stickers, and myself, I go to Marion, Rochester. This appears to me to be a competition to what I'm already paying for in terms of if I want a dump sticker. If I don't, and I want to have somebody pick it up, that's fine. Again, my question is, this appears to be, to me, a duplication of effort. How would you differentiate that? Because if the harbor master is taking in funds that covers a beach permit and a dump permit, if I want a beach permit, I'm gonna pay for a
Right.
dump permit. How do I differentiate between something where I'm helping to pay that, and if my memory serves me correct, I think we get something back from that. How do you differ from what we do?
Okay, I'll tell you how we differ. We have many of our people who come into our recycling center live in apartments, apartment complexes, condominiums, and mobile home parks, and none of those offer recycling. So they come to us. Also, we have businesses who come, and I don't know if Marion and Rochester accept businesses to bring in large loads of cardboard, et cetera, I'm not sure. But we have businesses come in. We are also the only place in southeastern Massachusetts that accepts paint. And I don't know if you've heard about that or not. Now everyone's going to be bringing their paint to us. But we take in quite a bit of paint, and we make sure that it's disposed of in the proper way, which again takes money. And either through mixing it with kitty litter or paint hardener or making sure that it does get taken. We also have, we have other programs and things that we offer, thermostats, thermometers. We also take in mercury. I'm not sure if Rochester and Marion take in mercury. We have a mercury shed that I got through a grant from the state. But I think the paint is a pretty important thing. We take in hundreds of gallons of paint on just the 2 days that we're open. One of them is only a part-time day. Wednesdays 1 to 3 and Saturdays 9 to 1. There is no charge to come to us. Let's see, what other advantages? Do you have any other advantages? Not besides, I don't know if anyone has come down and seen, we have a book shed, which is another donation that I got from a grant. We had to, the only thing that they would give us was a shed, no money or anything, just a shed. So I made it into a book swap, and people bring in their books and they swap or leave a small donation, and they love that. That has brought a lot of people in. So I don't really think we're in competition with them, but there are people who have their trash picked up in other ways. I would say mostly of all of our people who come in, 100, 150, sometimes 200 people a week. Their trash is picked up. Why would they go buy a sticker just to bring their recycling somewhere?
Tom?
I use the service and it's good and a nice place to come every Saturday morning. But you're losing money.
Mhm.
You gotta go to the trash builders, which would be the newspapers, the retail stores, and go back and refund the Walmart piece. Because you're not gonna get it from any other way.
We're not
You gotta get
gonna
people to
be able
donate.
warrant,
Huh?
Ask the town. We
What?
can't submit a warrant.
We've already
You,
sold.
you,
Yeah, but no, you can, but the town isn't awash.
No, I understand.
And you're not,
But we're asking for $3,000,
No,
that's
I-
all.
but next year, what are you gonna ask for?
We'll ask for a total of 8,000, which we get 5 now.
Okay, but so that 3,000 is gonna continue?
Well, right now, we're asking for 3,000 to get us through 2013.
No, I
And
understand.
we'll have to deal with 2014 when the time comes.
I understand that, but what you really wanna do is solve the problem, and so Stop and Shop creates a certain amount of that trash that ends up in your place. Sullivan Tire, people like that are creating stuff that goes into that you're helping get rid of. So you need somebody to approach those people who are,
Mostly it's residents who come to us, mostly a small amount of businesses come to us. You mean we should charge them?
No, I would go out and say, here's the situation. We're losing, I don't know, $800 a month. Being paid for by the town, and also, we got our handout, we're going broke. You gotta say, you are generating, what we're doing is taking trash that's coming through your outlets. And we're wondering if you would donate and help us
We've done that.
with the
Would you
district.
believe we've gone to them and asked for grants?
Right, are you,
We get turned down constantly.
Bob Ethier, the man in charge of Board of Health, has been trying to negotiate with the new Walmart to get us anything, any help at all, and that hasn't come through. It's been trying for months. But we were recently told by our liaison that we shouldn't be doing that. That's illegal to try to get money from a company who's coming into town to fund our recycling center.
Yeah, you can make the case that you made to them and they'll just laugh.
Well,
I'm telling
I've
you.
been to
You've done it.
Yeah, no,
places to try to get donations.
I applaud what you're doing.
And I wanted to respond
Go,
to,
okay. Okay, let Marilyn?
I was going to respond to his comments because I wanted to put it in perspective. That would be fine if this were a community organization. What's happening historically is the town stopped municipal trash pickup. So that became a burden on individual taxpayers. Now we have to go out and buy a service which may or may not have recycling. It obviously doesn't have recycling for apartments, condos, and these people that are bringing it there. So I recycle curbside, so I'm not causing any burden here. You're talking about a volunteer organization that's already doing a lot, and doing a lot to keep trash off of the streets, the bogs. You know, I live on a cranberry bog, so I know when the dump, there's any problems with the dump, I see it firsthand. Anyone that drives up Charge Pond Road towards the YMCA can see it there. So this is it's more than a community service. It's something that is a real need in the town, and they're servicing the people that have the greatest need for it. So to ask volunteers to go above and beyond what they're already doing and how much they've already brought to us, I get their frustration, because at some point they could just say, you know, we're tired of doing this, and shut it down altogether. And then where we as a town left, then we're looking at a lot more cost to solve this problem.
Okay, I would like to, we've got a draft of the warrant. we've heard from Marilyn, her husband. If you have any more pointed questions to them, ask them now, but we'll take it into consideration with the rest of the warrant, because we can't vote on it tonight anyways. We're just gonna discuss it, and we'll be voting on it in public next week. So, do you have anything, other questions, David?
Just one.
Yeah.
You're proposing the expenditure of an additional $3,000. Do you have any idea where you want that $3,000 to come from?
We know we've asked the question. Available funds is all I can say, if there are any.
Okay, thank you.
Excess or available.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
One other thing I wanted to mention,
Sure.
there's more involved than just the recycling center. The recycling coordinator provides the interface to DEP for the town. If that goes away, the town's gonna come up with somebody else to do that, and I doubt they're gonna do it for nothing. I'm talking about, providing all the reports DEP wants, making the town report, we just wrote that and sent it in. That's some of the things you're paying for with this, besides a recycling center. So it isn't just the center.
And-
That will all stop too.
And we recognize the importance of recycling. Unfortunately, the town of Wareham hasn't taken a strong position on it.
Exactly.
And many other communities have. And I think if we had, it wouldn't be such a burden to them. So again, I want to thank you for coming, and unless anyone else has any other questions for them, we'll move on the agenda, and we will be studying the warrant article, and I saw your article in there as well. And I want to thank you for what you do, and we'll take it under advisement, and we'll be discussing it next week.
We thank you for your
Okay.
time and your
Thank you.
good questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Town Administrator, you want to come on up here?
Well,
All right. We have been given a draft report of the initial warrant. I guess the best place to, is there anything on this warrant that you can elaborate on that before we study it and vote on it next week? I guess that's what I'd like for you to, if you've got any comments.
Yeah, we'll start off from the beginning with the money articles. You'll see that the budget amendment article and then the two capital improvement articles do not have any numbers in there, and I'll tell you why that is. In speaking with other towns, when we publish our warrant, and if we have those numbers in there, you are stuck to do that. You've seen in some of the previous town meetings we've had, when we've had things that change in September, we're talking about full month away, there could be emergency or something that happens in between. But I do have sort of a generic outline for those that I'll be submitting to the committee. We roughly received about $127,000 extra on the town side. Altogether, it was about 112, but we also received reduction in assessments.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the number we'd be working with for budget amendments. You'd have approximately an extra 127,000. What that will be used for is areas that I've looked at that appear to be underfunded. Either when we ended up last year, those budget articles, when July 1st or June 30th rolled around, it looked like those budgets will be higher this year than they were the previous, or they were higher than what we budgeted. So it's basically probably one of the big reasons for having a fall town meeting are the budget article adjustments, and that's really what we'd be looking for in Article 1.
Anyone have any questions? Are you going to give us, I'm going to ask a question, are you going to give us a breakdown of what you're proposing to do in the capital improvements?
Yes, you will receive.
And are you in sync with the capital improvements, the committee?
It's, I received There could be some adjustments on there. What's on there right now is what the capital improvement, the capital planning committee had submitted to me. But again, one of the things is, that's the way it is right now. However, it could change given on some of the tweaks on there. So we're looking roughly, we have the items on there. It would be looking at vehicles. Well, the first one would be IT equipment for our IT department. We're looking at some vehicles that are replaced for the town, including municipal maintenance and Board of Health. Some money for a school bus or school buses, depending on whatever size they are. School roof repair, which syncs up for the $110,000 that the school has their own article in for a repair of a roof. Library windows, doors and repairs. There's another library one that may change, may not. And then town hall security upgrades. I think it's kind of interesting to walk through town hall and realize that there really is no security, including our IT department area where we have some valuable equipment.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I'm a little confused as to why there's an Article 2 and then an Article 3.
One is to accept the plan and the other is to fund it.
Okay, and what is, accept the plan, is this a 5-year plan, a 1-year plan, or
It
what?
would be a borrowing plan, so the thought is to borrow, it'll be about, what we have approved is $350,000. So you would borrow for that, for these items, so.
Okay, I'm just concerned over, all right, so you're saying you're borrowing, in other words, the plan could be like 2 to 3 year out, is that what you're saying?
The plan would be, if I can break it down, the first thing is to accept the plan, to say this is what we're looking at, do you accept these items? Now we need a funding mechanism. So the plan is to try and put aside money for the first year funding. It's estimated between $75,000 and $80,000. Where the idea is to transfer that from the stabilization fund, since we don't have the school's potential bonding anymore for a large sum of money or debt exclusions. Now, the other part of that is we may not have a payment in FY13, depending on when the bonding goes through, when bond counsel or when whoever the bonding company is tells us our first payment would be.
All right.
David?
This capital plan, is this an addendum to the plan that the town administrator submitted to the selectmen in December of 12? Or is this a brand new plan that will be evolving to your required submission to the selectmen from December?
I would say don't read too much into the word plan. By using plan, what I'm saying is these are the items that we've chosen to fund for capital this year, and we're just using sort of the language of plan on there.
Good, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Capital Planning Committee, when it went through, they have updated the capital plan, which they looked at and decided these are where we want the monies for this year based on the revisions. This is what we think the capital plan is going forward, 5 years or plus. Off of that came the recommendations, all right, that the town administrator is now working with, because the recommendation to him was for certain items, all right, left to his discretion as always as to which ones he wanted to select. But there is an update to the overall plan, but all he's talking about here is the first year.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't want people to think that this is the entire capital plan here.
No.
We'd be very fortunate if that was all.
Madam Chair, but I also point out the fact that you were trying to get to me today to get the capital plan.
Yes, I
so
did.
we could have it for this meeting.
I did.
Unfortunately, I had a dental
And
emergency, so.
I will get copies to everyone.
Yeah, we'll get you a copy. I apologize.
Yes.
I just wanted to piggyback on what Bonnie was saying, because I know we're going to get into the specifics of what we're looking to purchase and what the dollar amount will be. And we know how things work on town meeting floor, so I think that it would be important to understand exactly the mechanism of how this is going to work. line items, it's not gonna come as a block, it's an all or nothing, that each item's gonna be. I just want us to be
Yeah.
prepared before we go into it. I mean, we can talk, I know we'll debate the dollar amounts, but I also want to debate or talk about how it's gonna be presented, so we don't get confusion on town meeting floor.
I agree with you 100%, Marilyn, and that's why when I looked at this and I'm saying, we're not gonna approve anything unless we see what you're submitting and how much it's gonna cost. And I think, you know, you said you're gonna give us all that stuff, that information.
But I think it may make sense to do it this way, so in Article 2, we're gonna debate the merits of what we're gonna buy, and how much we're
Exactly.
gonna pay for it, and then when we figure that all out, Article 3, then we can pay for it. We'll have a
Exactly.
bottom line, is that how it would go? That seems to make sense and seems to make it smoother, rather than having to change dollar amounts, so.
I agree with you 100%.
And I think if I may, if Madam Moderator allows it, if one comes up out of order, maybe we would choose to take the one that's the actual plan first down there.
So you wouldn't actually have a dollar amount to put into Article 3 until we voted on Article 2, and then we put that dollar amount in Article 3, because we're done.
Beforehand, so the Finance Committee could vote on it in the selectmen, because believe me, it's been hammered into me that if it changes and they voted on it, their vote is no longer good and they will not back it. I understand that we will have the dollar sum in there, and if it gets changed on town meeting floor by the body, there's not much I can do about that.
Okay, exactly. Nothing any of us can do. Anyone else have any questions?
Madam Chair, so
Yes.
to also answer Marilyn's question, the town moderator always has the option to divide the article. So whether it comes in a total number or it comes in as individuals, sort of hard once the warrant's printed to break it down into other
Mhm.
articles, but she always has the right to divide it, as does anyone that requests it from the floor can ask
Mhm.
that the article be divided.
It's my understanding that, that the moderator is working with, the attorney on these issues, and I'm assured that, I know that you will make it as friendly to the body and as simple to the body and transparent to the body. Won't you, Madam Moderator?
We are trying.
And if I may, so that I don't get in trouble or run over tonight, it says draft on big letters in here, and I've explained to everybody we're still working on it tomorrow.
Yes, yes. And we'll keep every individual updated on their, through the email, except Dominic. I'll stop by and I'll give you a call.
Thank
Okay,
you.
no problem. Okay, what else have you got to throw our way?
So just roughly
Of
going.
course, you know,
through
Article 10, I already asked them. Don't tell me these are the defibrillators for the
No.
police
Yeah, no.
department.
That's not in there. But Article 4 is a police transfer one, and we saw this in spring, I think it was in the special, the May special. We had seen this, and this is one that they put forward every year, so rather waiting till the special, we'll see if the body will make that transfer. It can probably be easier on them to manage their own budget this year.
Okay.
So we're saying that it's really for, when we did the transfer, you said this spring, did that mean that it was for this year?
No, and the May special is always should always be for FY12 for that current year, unless it states otherwise.
Any other questions on 4?
Article 5 is additional state education aid. The Chapter 70 was increased by approximately $120,000. And they would look to have that placed inside, the school would look to have that placed inside their net school spending line.
Mm-hmm.
Article 6 is the McKinney-Vento homeless student transportation reimbursement. I believe the schools either today or tomorrow is having a seminar on that, or one of the committee members is going to that, and they'll have much more information on there. My one concern on this is just if it is reimbursement, I don't know if I can increase their budget, and if they're not gonna get this money until spring, until after they've submitted documents for what they need for reimbursement, I don't know if it should go into the budget right now, because it could upset setting the tax rate. In other words, I could have an extra $125,000 in expenses and have an unbalanced budget. So that's why I'm waiting to get some information from the school/school committee, and also run it by the DOR whether this will work. Otherwise, it's reimbursement for homeless student transportation. The school transports homeless students.
Anybody have any questions about that? 'Cause I have a question. Has the school already put this money out and not been reimbursed? Is that what they're looking for? It was my understanding that this is something that they've already had to do.
Correct. This would be reimbursements for FY12 expenditures.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. And how much is this exactly?
They've put a rough estimate of 125,000. Now, they know what they've put out there. They believe the state's gonna reimburse at roughly 75,000. But also, sort of the caveat on there is $11.3 million was set aside at the state level. And it depends on how many schools are gonna submit reimbursements. So what they're gonna do is all the reimbursements go in, and then they'll apportion it as that is. So it's, we really don't know what they're gonna get back until the state tells us.
Okay. Go ahead, Dominic.
Maybe I'm a little lost here. Homeless student transportation. Kinda seems like they're homeless.
We can explain it to you.
Well, thank you.
That's basically, and correct me if I'm not 100%, it's, say an individual becomes homeless in Brockton and they can only shelter them in Wareham. We have the responsibility to bus them to their home school if they want to in Brockton. Am I correct?
Yeah, the genesis behind it, and that's perfect synopsis, is that state auditor discovered that this was an unfunded mandate. The actual mandate is the McKinney-Vento Act, saying exactly what the chair just said.
Makes sense now, thank you.
Well, I think that makes perfect sense. We house them and then we send them back to their schools. Doesn't matter where they're going. That makes perfect sense for me. Okay. Okay.
Article 7 is the Wareham Gymnasium roof. That would be the same as what we have in the capital planning on there.
Remember how much that was?
110,000, I believe.
Thank you.
Question
Go
to
ahead.
that, if I may,
Dave.
Madam Chair. Is this, since the school was trying for it, they're not trying for it anywhere here in the warrant article, is that correct?
The number 7 is the school's warrant article.
Okay.
But is it also covered in 2?
Correct.
So the question is, where is this money coming from?
Available funds. I don't, I've told you how I plan to put the capital, pay for the first year of the funds, so I guess what would happen is if this gets passed, it's then up to the town administrator to figure out how they're gonna pay for this.
It says
So
available,
I think the answer is you're
appropriate,
gonna
or
borrow
borrow.
money.
Does this mean,
It says borrow.
It says,
No.
raise and appropriate, which is through taxation, borrow and or transfer, so they've covered every base, which is the smart
Exactly.
thing to do.
Yep. But, you're gonna, people are gonna wanna be particular about it, and they're gonna pin you down, are you gonna borrow this? Yeah.
Madam Leslie.
yes,
Bonnie, to answer Bonnie's question, generally in a warrant article, you would leave it generic, but in a motion, you would have to be specific.
okay.
And if I may, it's not to say that if the capital article came up first and that was passed, it's not, maybe the school, I'm guessing they wouldn't care for this article anymore, or if their article came up first, I don't know if they would want the capital planning one to come up. That's it. It's their article, so it's sort of whatever direction we would receive.
If it gets approved in 2 and then it gets approved in 7, I mean,
If
no?
it gets improved in 2, I would say they should withdraw 7.
That's right.
Exactly. But, okay.
But what if you do if 7 comes up, which is part of 2?
If 7 were to come up first and it passes, then someone would have to make a motion for Article 2 to amend Article 2 to exclude for the borrowing of the roof.
Ah, yes, yeah, okay.
I mean, someone's gonna have to be on their toes to realize that that's what needs to be done.
That's what you get the big bucks for.
Yes.
Through you to Madam Moderator, would it be appropriate for us to, for someone to make a motion to take Article 2 first? I know we like the lottery system, but in the case where you have things that play on each other, does that make sense?
Definitely seems like 2 should be first, I agree.
We're bound by the charter to do by lottery.
Okay.
However, the selectmen do have the ability, if it's of a financial matter, to pull something out of order. We'd have to get the direction to
Okay.
see what their billing is.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Can I look at history? 3 meetings ago, the school committee was in here and said they were gonna pick up like $250,000 out of from two fundings. In the discussion was the roof. What did they do with that $250,000?
They haven't got it yet.
The $250,000 is the additional state aid for Chapter 70, which is Article 5, so roughly 120,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought they,
That would be,
I thought they got it.
No.
And the selectmen said
It's-
they would give it to them.
we need the body to vote that in there to change the budget on there. And then the Article 6 is the other part of that, 125,000 for the McKinney-Vento, which would go to the non-net school spending.
Bonnie?
Is it Mr. Gray is our school committee
Yes, it is.
liaison? I would like to, know whether he can find out or whether we could find out from the school committee. The last that we were here, we were correct. He said several options were on the table for that $120,000, okay? Now, it kind of looks to me like they pulled the roof out of that plan and hoping to get funding for it elsewhere and, you know, possibly reinstitute programming, teachers or whatever with that $120,000. And I, before we vote on these 2 articles, I think I'd like the answer to what their plan is.
So you want
Good point.
same to what?
The school committee's plan for their additional, Chapter 70 funding,
Okay.
where it appears that they would like to fund the roof repair in another fashion. Before I give my opinion on these 2 articles, I'd like to know, you know, what they came to us before these articles even went and wanted our support for this article before it was even typed up, okay? Without any really true plan as to what they intended to do with these funds, and I'd kind of like an update on what their intention is. Either through our liaison or through
Absolutely.
them directly.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the controversy developed here because one member of the school committee decided that, well, maybe we should back up whatever the town is deciding to do. There's been some serious discussions about who the school buildings belong to and who the school buses belong to. And that's one of the reasons why it came down to the town administrator making the recommendation of capital planning that the high school roof being part of a town building, it was his responsibility to do the repairs. The interim town administrator at that point was Mr. Foster, and we had asked him, if you had $350,000, what would you spend it on? The first item he said was fix the roof. Mr. Sullivan, subsequently, when he became interim at our last meeting, said the same thing, we need to fix the roof. The reason for that being that there's a potential for serious damage to the floor, which would probably double or triple the price of the repairs to the gymnasium. So this was like a backup article. Really, you know, they lost the debt exclusion, which was none of their business, in my personal opinion, because they're not responsible for financing anything. And this article just becomes controversial, and I think somebody needs to approach them and ask them to withdraw it before it gets defeated at town meeting. If for no other reason, it's submitted by them, the debate will be, we already turned down your debt exclusion. Okay, why would we approve your article? That does not relieve the town's responsibility to fix the building. And that's the 110, and it's up to the town to find out how they're gonna finance it, right? And that's what Article 3 is all about. And I think those conversations have to occur before we take any votes. And the school committee has to be part of them. We need to withdraw that article. No backups, because as you said, John, it's only gonna cause a lot of confusion. And I think after the referendum, right, it will only cause also a large amount of antagonism. So let's do it the right way. We're gonna do adjustments, we're gonna do repairs to the library, it's a town building. We're gonna do repairs to the high school roof, it's a town building, right? And we have yet to figure out how the town is now gonna handle its additional building called the Hancock School, which we're now gonna assume the responsibilities of running as well, as long as we have them.
The Hammond School?
Or the Hammond, no, I said Hammond, wrong town.
I thought we acquired something I know about.
No, I'm sorry, it's somebody said Brockton, so that's why I said Hancock. The Hammond School, all right? These schools are town buildings. So,
It's a good point.
next couple of weeks, we'll be able to discuss this article again in the interim. I think you should try to get the school going to withdraw it.
So,
Okay.
just for clarification from what, you've got a building that's being operated by the school committee,
Yes,
maintained by the town.
belongs to the town.
I mean, if the school committee wants to paint the building inside or do anything inside, they go to the town? Is that how that works?
That's how it's supposed to work. That isn't necessarily how it has worked, all right? But if you go to the state procurement laws, all right, all contracts, all supplies, everything, including the school, is specific to the law. It's supposed to be done through the chief procurement officer. That is not the superintendent of schools, it's not the chairman of the board of education, or the school committee, it's the town administrator.
Well, then, all of this stuff we've gone through on the school buses, who owns those? Who's responsible for those?
The town. Only the town administrator can act as the procurement officer unless he files certain papers with the state that are filed with the Inspector General's office, which specifically lay out who could make those purchases and the limit of their responsibilities, etc. Those letters have never been filed. So therefore, the buses are the responsibility of the town administrator.
And the school committee has spent a lot of time wrestling with that issue.
They are responsible for the transportation of the students, but they are not responsible for the procurement of the buses.
So
Gentlemen,
if they make a decision that says we want to operate with 60 buses,
Tom, can we go through the GF?
excuse me, I'm sorry.
Sorry?
Because I do,
We're both sorry.
I do have,
Yeah.
with the body's permission, the moderator has some clarification she'd like to add to here, so if the body allows the town moderator to speak.
Depends upon who she agrees with.
Thank you, Madam Moderator.
I think we have to be very careful, and I don't mean to speak out of turn, and I'm certainly not an attorney. There is some sort of state law that enables the school to take control of a building for school purposes, and it depends upon how originally, when that school was built, the article was written, and for what purpose that money was spent for. So if the money was raised and appropriated for the purpose of a school, and there's, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe there's some sort of state law that kicks in that the school department is in charge of care, custody, and control. And over the years, when we have given up buildings, there has to be a vote from the school committee to give up that care, custody, and control, and turn it back to the town. I don't know where we are with the high school, whether this falls into that, but I think we have to be very careful in generalizing and make sure that this all is taken care of by town council to look at it. Because when you do have articles that come before town meeting for specifically that the money was raised and appropriate to build a school, and that the care and custody of that building comes under the school committee. It depends on how the article was originally written. It does, I believe, Derek, am I correct that there's something that there is ownership by the school committee, and then if they ever decide to not use that building, they have to take a vote and turn it back to the town. So there is something there. I think we can't generalize. I don't know what it is with the high school, if that pertains to it. I do know that there is one school building that right now that's being looked into. So I just don't want you to generalize and make a general statement that it is a town building, town's in charge of the maintenance, because I think there is something in one of the state laws that does identify, and I think that we need to look at that.
And I agree.
Madam Chair, I fully agree also, and I think it's about time we did look at the state law and figure out exactly who is responsible for these buildings. There's also a question of ownership and then a question of maintenance, all right? And that's the other piece of the pie. And the procurement laws, the question on that would be, does the other law, which says the school has control of the building, supersede the procurement laws? Again, that's something for the attorney, town's attorney to go through and to ensure that we're doing this properly. There's a great deal of advantage for the town to be responsible for both the buses and the buildings. All right, now I'm not talking about general maintenance, I'm talking about, the building itself. And it's interesting, I would also mention to you, it's funny you gave us out the agenda tonight for the seminars that are available for the Association of Town Finance Committee meetings. And one of the seminars is Building and Facilities Maintenance Consolidation. And so look at how the town of Lexington combines facilities and management between the town and the schools. So we're not alone in that problem, but I think it has to go to council. We have to take a hard look at it, all right? And this is where we might fall back to, to Mrs. Catulli's question. If town council comes back and says, well, the town does have absolutely no control over the buildings, it belongs in the realm of the schools, then the town administrator will be required to withdraw the 110 off of his plan, and the school article would be valid at that point. It sounds like a lot of legalese, but it also, there are requirements that we at times have not followed with state law. And it's caused us a lot of problems. Time to straighten it all out, get a clear understanding, and make sure everyone is educated to that point, including the Board of Selectmen and the school committee.
Well, could I ask you to look into this matter with,
I have no access to town council and can't get it without going through the Board of Selectmen. I would defer to the town administrator.
well, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna ask if you and the town administrator could.
It is something we're actively working on to try and figure it out. I think if I bring it back to you not seeing numbers in Article 2 and 3, you can now get a clearer vision of why. If there's big changes in there, they're not locked in.
Okay, so will you get back to us?
Yeah, we're working, I know he's in tomorrow, and I don't think, this is one that's a question with research on there, and some that we've been working on and been brought up by someone, not too recently, we've been working on it.
Okay. All right. Tom's not happy.
Well, I mean, the school committee has been going through all of this jazz on buses, roofs, and we had the special referendum as to whether we were gonna fund it or not, and the school committee was a little point on that. And if this thing has been going on for, must be years that it's been in the clouds. Well, we gotta get on town council to say, hey, let's get clarity with this stuff.
I agree,
It's a waste of time.
Not to prolong the conversation, but my understanding of the history is when the town had a purchasing agent, all buses, if nothing else, were purchased by the town. All right, and when we had another interim town administrator, he personally transferred the responsibility for that to the school with no authorizing letters. And it's just sort of sat there. All right, that's how it wound up there. And the question has come up about authorization letters within the last few years, particularly last year, and no letters were ever issued. So the responsibility still lies with the town as far as, that's where it always was. Buildings could be a different story.
Okay,
moving on.
moving on.
I believe we're on Articles 8 and 9 are to transfer money from the waterways account to Harbor Master's maintenance and improvement account. I know the question will be how much is in that account, and when town council is back from the procurement classes, I will have that answer and make sure that that's written down.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I saw where the 30,000 was going. What is the plan for the 85,000?
There's actually a long explanation on that that is really through the motion explanation. You blanked me, I can't remember off the top of my head. But you will have the explanation as to where it is. And I know the harbor master is more than ready, willing, and able to sit in front of the spot and explain.
I guess some of my concerns is that we used to take money out of the harbor master's account just for salaries, and that has recently become a habit, and I have a concern on that. Because we'll deplete that account when we're all done, and then he won't have any money to buy equipment. I'm looking down the road here, and I'm not seeing good things. Thank you.
Would the board like me to have the harbor master in at next week's meeting?
I think that would be a good idea.
Okay.
Or at least a handout. He's usually pretty good about,
He is.
a handout stipulating this is exactly what I'm gonna do with my money.
Yes, he does have one
Yeah.
on there, and
Comes through.
Okay, I will ask him if he could come in with a presentation to us regarding Article 9. Okay, Article 10.
Article 10 is if the EMS, and again, not police, EMS, that receives a grant to purchase 4 12-lead cardiac monitor defibrillators, we will be required to pay 10% of that. So these are the massive machines that cost a whole boatload of money on there, and they are required to have these, so we'll be lucky if we can get the grant. And maybe the following year, we can use that grant money for other things for the EMS, which would be great.
Yes, Bonnie?
Just a silly question, Dave's gonna love me for this one. Why 4 when we don't even have 2 trucks running?
Careful, Patty, you're interjecting some logical points here.
I mean, is 4 like the baby package or something?
They have to put a block between you two. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
No, that's just quite.
I'm gonna go ask Dave.
This is why I sit between the two of them.
I believe 4 is what our department's required to have.
Okay,
But I'm not going to put that down as official, because
okay.
that may just be my assumption on
Right,
it.
if you suppose you have 2 people both having cardiac arrest at the same time, you need 2, so 2 by 2 trucks, that works out, okay.
And 2 backups.
Madam Chair, we normally have 3 ambulances and 1 backup reserve, that's fine.
Smooth, Frank, smooth.
That's good. We can discuss the 3rd ambulance at the next meeting.
Here we go.
Article 11 is to take 30,000 out of the Waterways Improvement and Maintenance Fund and fund the Harbors and Beach Maintenance Account, which is the raking of the beach and such and the cleaning there. That one's submitted by the Municipal Maintenance Director. The parking meter funds, and you'll see parking meter / parking tier fund. The first one, Article 12, is to fund the Municipal Maintenance Department signed materials account. The second one is the line account, I believe. MMPS, municipal maintenance line painting account. I believe this one's usually been done in the past at the spring town meeting,
Mhm.
and I don't know why it didn't make that, whether it was just through.
I thought we,
It was,
I thought we approved the signage one. Didn't they have to come up with all new signs about a year ago?
Yeah, but this is
This is just regular?
generally,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
regular sign
Okay.
maintenance and stuff. The ones that the kids steal and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Article 14 is the recycling committee. I have, in the additional monies that we've received in state aid and the lowering of the assessments, I have put a $3,000 buffer in case this does pass. So it's not, we won't be cutting into anybody's budget on there. But I may scream that we are cutting budgets if that does.
Madam Chair, do we have a business permit fee that all businesses in town must pay annually? Business
I don't
license
know.
fee?
We do, it's going to depend on which business. I know we do for, for the liquor licenses, for some of the, for common victualler license. I don't know if everyone has that, but.
Anecdotally, I can just respond to that because a friend of mine who runs a business in town received a call from the town clerk's office to renew the business license. So yes, we do, but there's a broad range of whether it needs to be collected, can it be collected, how often is it collected?
Madam Chair, I would also say, from my personal experience, when I was working for a pharmaceutical company, the city of Boston, we had 14 drugstores in the city's limits, and we had to pay the city a recycling fee every year. So it might be something that the town might want to consider. It was for the handling of hazardous, it actually was for the sale of hazardous materials that would require recycling on the backside. Goes to my distinguished colleague's comment about, charging the people who are selling the items, all right, to take some responsibility for the disposal of those items. And it was charged to all businesses, really.
and they talk about that if they could transport to a metal recycling area, they would pick up $900, but somebody does it for free.
I know.
You got the point.
That's why I took it under advisement, guys. I didn't want to commit, take, yes.
I think it was actually Mr. McDonald who asked the question, and I thought he was gonna look into the recycling thing. If I don't have the right person, I
You're absolutely
apologize.
right.
We did.
Okay, but he originally said something about, this lady Marilyn, it said that a lot of these are apartment buildings, people in condominiums, and their trash pickup service doesn't provide for recycling. So my question would be to the Board of Selectmen is why are we giving license for businesses to operate in this town, be contractors in this town, if they are not providing recycling services? The town should get proactive about it and just say, you can't provide trash pickup in the town of Wareham unless you are providing full recycling services as well. When you don't get away with it in the city of New Bedford, why should you get away with it in the town of Wareham?
Oh, I agree with you.
And I'm gonna agree with Monty too. What I was gonna say is the private trash haulers that come in do provide those services, but they're still voluntary. Until we as a town, and it's probably beyond what this board's gonna do, but until we as a town come out and make recycling mandatory, that's not gonna happen. But you're right, that's how it's.
That's not what this lady is telling me. She's telling me that these are people in their homes who obviously take the time to separate and distribute their trash and then put it in their car and take it downtown.
So I would say that goes to their landlord's trash service.
Yes, so
not-
then, exactly, that was my
Yeah.
point. If they're hiring Joe Schmo disposal.
They must have dumpsters that are trash dumpsters and not, so yeah, that goes to regulation
Okay,
above and
that
beyond
would
what we
be
can
my
handle,
point.
but I think that's a great
Okay.
recommendation.
Yes, Dominic.
To get what they're saying, like in our apartment building, we use a trash company as a dumpster. They put the recycling things next to the dumpster, and the people are supposed to do it themselves. And they don't. They just throw it all in the dumpster.
Well,
But
that's,
they shouldn't, and they just haul it away. They put the barrels there, Bonnie, for glass, but the tenants don't use it.
I understand that, but those tenants aren't tying up the recycling center either and costing the recycling center
Okay.
money because they're not taking it down there. They're just throwing it
Somebody's,
away.
somebody's tenants.
Okay,
Madam Chair, if I
Yes,
might,
please.
we're trying to get Derek through the articles,
Mhm.
and we're flogging ourselves to
Right.
death.
No, you're absolutely, you're absolutely right.
You're right.
Go ahead. He does have a wife to get home to.
Does it? Goes to that.
May not after this town.
Oh, come on.
Right,
Compliment you, I
moving
know you're getting gray hair.
Article 15 is FY 2012 unpaid bills, and I will have a copy of that for you. The Woodward and Curran, to give you an explanation, that actually stems back from, I believe it's, I think it's fiscal 2012. And what that was for the water pollution control facility. Let me see. The town of Wareham retained Woodward and Curran to perform an independent capacity assessment of the wastewater treatment plant to assist the town in future decision-making on potential wastewater connections, expansions, and other capacity-based issues. There was I believe there was sort of a territorial fight on this as to who actually owed the money on this. It was done for sewer capacity, but it was ordered by the town. So can you order something for the town and make the water pollution control facility pay for it? At the end of the day, we're coming to town meeting to have it paid because we owe this money.
I do recall them making that presentation.
The second one is Community Newspaper Company, and that was, I have a copy of it here, I can give it to you. Last year was a big year, fiscal year, big year for turnovers and posting for job positions, for the warrants and such on there. And it ended up, when we got our final bills through, it ended up we owed additional monies. I'm guilty of $91.80 on that. For the Westfield RFP, I had to post that for procurement laws on two weeks in a row. I asked them to bill it to fiscal year 2013, because that's when the final one was in, and I was told after June 30th, no. So, that's my mea culpa on that one.
Okay,
You'll live through it.
Yeah.
we'll dock you paid.
The next three articles are, one is for purchasing wind power. This is not to install turbines on any of our properties. It is to purchase wind power. And there will be, for the Board of Selectmen, what do you call it,
Presentation?
presentation, thank you. I'm sure they'd be willing to come to the Finance Committee as well, so we can get you the contact information on
Mhm.
there. The article,
Excuse me, when are they going to be presenting it to the selectmen? Is that tomorrow night?
no, I don't believe that'd be tomorrow night. I think the first one that I know of is on the 18th. I can try and give you the heads
Okay.
up on that.
Okay.
Article 17 is solar credit purchase. This is a similar item. It's for, I believe, a solar field that was put together in Plymouth. Article 18 does deal with our town, and it would be a solar lease at the wastewater treatment site in the 621 West.
Bless you.
Article 19 is a CPC matter. Article 20, and this is not disrespectful to CPC, but I would have them speak to their own, CPA, have them speak to their own articles.
Okay.
21 as well. Article 22 and 23 are the TIF agreements with T. Marzetti Company. It is two properties on there, both of them listed. That's why there's two articles in there.
Mhm.
Article 24 is the transfer of the Hammond School to CETA for their use. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of information on that as well. And Mr. Pino would more than likely be glad to come before the board. Article 25 is a harbor master article as well. It's changed some of the waterways bylaws. So when he comes in, I'm sure he would speak to this. And you can see it's pretty lengthy,
Mhm.
several pages
Right.
on that. Which, go and see our bills for posting the warrant, and you know why sometimes it costs a little more.
Yeah, I can see. I can certainly see.
Article 26 and 27 are in relation to the dog bylaw study committee. Article 28 is an act changing the town charter providing for the election of sewer commissioners. This has already passed once. For whatever reason, the legislation did not go through. This is with the changes in there, and we'd like to get the selectmen are putting that forth again. Article 29 is the cemetery commissioners hiring of 4 seasonal laborers. There's a little confusion in here. When we do our budget, we have a section called fees in there for the revenues. The cemetery commissioners have believed since they put fees into the general fund, you can just take it out like that. I explained how difficult that is, and that should be done during the spring to make for proper budgeting and such, but they are looking for these funds to hire some seasonal laborers. And then Article 30 is for an arborist as well, so approximately for $16,000 between the two articles.
Madam Chair, Article 29, I believe there's a scrivener's error that will hopefully be fixed before, I don't know what interment is, I think it's internment.
Oh, yeah.
We just try to get the scrivener's errors out. Sorry, didn't interrupt.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Through you to our interim town administrator. Derek, can you explain, again, the mechanism behind this, not the money? Why didn't they go to you to put it in a line item for a department budget? Why is this outside of that?
I don't know why that happened. All I received was these 2 articles on there.
Would it normally make sense if things were working in a better fashion that this would come on? I mean, we run the cemeteries, municipal maintenance takes care of the cemeteries, correct?
It would usually, my understanding is it would usually come through the municipal maintenance director. The
Mhm.
Board of Selectmen also ultimately have control over the cemeteries and
Okay.
such, so. I wouldn't speak for the cemetery.
Okay, I'm just curious as to why it comes to us this way.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Bonnie?
who are the cemetery commissioners? Is this an elected board or an appointed board by the Board of Selectmen? Who are the cemetery commissioners?
It is appointed by the Board of Selectmen, and there are currently 2 members.
Okay.
Article 31 is to amend zoning bylaws, and I would have the town planner to speak to you on that one.
Okay.
And 32 is for the capping of sewer betterment fees for the Oakdale Cremisa area for no more than $18,000.
Didn't this come before the previous town meeting?
Correct.
Was defeated?
It was defeated.
When they look for like 21,000.
No, they were looking for 18,000 to cap. In other words, they didn't want it.
It is 21,000.
It is 21,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The betterment has not been set, but that's been the estimate, and the approximation has been around 21,000.
And Madam
Yes.
Chair, do we know the approximate cost of this article, or will we know the approximate cost of this article?
I believe if you figure there's about 280 persons, or households involved in that, give or take, at, we'll call it $3,000 a pop, you know, you're looking at what, about 840,000?
750.
Yep, 840 exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But they can bring it back, we figured, where it was defeated once, they can bring it back again. There was a time limit
No,
on defeated, no?
no.
No.
There's no limit to the number of times you can flog a dead horse.
Until somebody
Because they-
would wanna put
They
something.
really
in the
packed
charter.
it last time, they tried hard, they packed the place for that last
And they
time.
left after it was voted
Mm.
down.
840 is a lot of money.
It was a lot.
But I mean, they really put this together and organized, and they packed that place for that vote that night.
I believe it was, they lost by 73 votes.
They were pretty well organized, that could be a crippling, expense.
Mhm. Okay. All right, so this is it, 22 articles?
There's 32.
Oh, 32.
What's that, like
That
5 or
was
6
being
minutes?
hopeful.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. 32. All right, do you have any insight into when we're gonna get financials?
I would have the town accountant come before you to speak on that. I do have, I received an update of an email on here that I think, I can read out to you there, a little bit of it. Regarding the FY 2012 financial close. Their belief is they're approximately 2 to 3 months ahead of last year, and the close is progressing nicely. All known journal entries are entered. They've established the new accounts. The year-end journal entries are organized. School grants been reconciled, school federal grant reconciled, and school revolving accounts reconciled. At this, I believe that's the first time since approximately 2007 on there. The trial balance by funds have been reviewed. They've balanced capital project funds, reviewed Chapter 90 expenditures to revenue, and they've started the reconciliation of the health insurance trust, which we're all waiting on that. This is the first year where Vadar will post the closing entries on a majority of the accounts, and the remaining few will be manually closed. The good news is, I believe Powers and Sullivan will be coming in spend 2 days in town hall at the end of this month, so that's a positive. The town accountant was at the procurement class today, so I believe that was up in Boston, and given where he lives and coming back down here, it would have been a little excessive to.
All right, I'm gonna try and get him in for next meeting of the body. I mean, I just don't wanna go to town meeting with the financial committee. I mean,
Madam Chair, would you like him at the next town?
Yes.
Meeting?
yes, I
He will
would.
be at the next meeting.
Does the body agree?
Please.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for Derek before we let him go? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of the evening.
Oh, thank you.
Stop for flowers at Shaw's.
Brownies are doing it nowadays.
Okay. Do we have a report from the Quinville Committee?
We do, Madam Chair, we did meet. We did come to some conclusions. If the other two individuals will let me run at the mouth for a few minutes,
Please.
and then you can tell me where I went amok. Marilyn posted the meeting. Basically, the three of us were in attendance along with Bob, who did the recording. You had asked what the Quinn bill actually cost us. It worked out to something like $369,247 and some pennies, I think.
Plus me.
I had thought it was
Mhm.
$368, but Marilyn does such detailed work that
Okay,
she.
369, we're good.
okay.
If And then the next question was basically, do we continue paying only, and then only our share was our result of that? What would be the town's liability? The town's liability is not the 50% that you would expect. Evidently, there is a pre-existing 2% exemption clause. So when the smoke cleared, we would be responsible for approximately $203,000, which obviously is much more than you would have if you took 369. That's if we, the town, pays our portion of the equipment bill plus the pre-existing 2%. The town implemented this by town vote. Question is, are we obligated? And can we decide not to pay our share? The feeling was taxpayers named the original funding, so the town should decide what action should be taken. Now, there were some options. Marilyn spoke briefly on the fact that the original twin bill was to upgrade our officers' education so that when they were dealing with the lawyers in the court, they would be speaking the same type of language. She also pointed out that some towns did not implement the quid bill because of the fact that they felt their salaries were high enough and they didn't have to bring that in. And other towns required you to have a college degree, so that was factored into their salary. So not every town had implemented the quid bill. Discussion revolved around we have a moral obligation to continue to pay at least the town side because it's a commitment to the community. There were some pros and there were some cons. One of the cons is that times change in industry and in the outside world, and that moral obligation is one side of it, but the factor is things are changing and we need to put that consideration in. Personally, I felt that if this needs to really be thrashed about here at the Finance Committee, because there's those aspects, and then there's the aspect of, do you grandfather people and then say, no new hires will be eligible for it? We need to put some kind of statement to the selectmen as a Finance Committee. Now, there was a motion made, and I know Marilyn has it because she was the only one that was really writing.
Didn't type it up very neatly, but I think the consensus of our meeting was that we would like to put forth to this committee that we submit a recommendation, that we make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Selectmen of the town at this point only pay the town, not pay the state's share.
I thought, well, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought that the whole point of this was to bring it to the selectmen what it's costing the town and what, what's transpired, and then only they decide, am I correct?
Correct.
Only they could decide if they're gonna bring it to the body.
Right.
But we as a FinCom, as our
We can
financial
advise.
responsibility, that they need to bring, we're supposed to bring it to the town because they're not, as a financial body, and have them bring it to the body and we don't have to take a stand whether we support it or not. It's just basically what it costs the town.
That was easily answered by Marilyn. Could have been done on a
We
calculator.
can say roughly, and again, I don't know to the minute what the categories are, but I think on the numbers that we had based on the fiscal year 2013 budget and the salaries of the officers, we will save $161,000 roughly.
Not
If
paying the
what?
Not
state
paying the state, because the state's not paying nothing, the state is paying some portion of what they feel like. And first of all, you need to understand it's a reimbursement. So when we put the budget together, when the police department gives us the budget, it includes the full 100%, the town's 50% and the state's 50%.
But we never get the state's
But
back.
we don't, the state is a reimbursement, and then they're not reimbursing us, or they're reimbursing it at whatever they feel like reimbursing, certainly not 50%, and those numbers have been decreasing since 2009. So the city of Boston said, hey, we can't afford to cover the state share, so Boston stopped paying. Worcester stopped paying. I mean, they had some huge bills. So the police union took them to court and lost. And the courts then decided back in March that municipalities do not have to cover the state's portion. When we voted to take the Quinn bill, what it actually is Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 108L. Part of that statute says, any city or town which accepts the provisions of this section and provides career incentive salary increases for police officers shall be reimbursed by the Commonwealth for 1/2 of the cost of such payments upon certification of the Board of Higher Education. And then you have about 3 pages about how it has to get certified, but very clearly it says, we're supposed to be reimbursed. If we're not reimbursed, we have no mechanism to go after the state for this money, so the only choice we have is to either accept it and cover their share or not pay it. So what we're saying is by not paying, we're not obligated to pay it, and we can save $161,000 if we don't.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
That is on the base salary. Overtime, details, pension is in addition to that. So that's the minimum that we would say. It's the 160.
Well, if we're covering now 203,000, if the state's not paying, I mean, the town might opt out as well of paying any. I mean, it would be up to the town to decide.
Well,
Well, that may be in the contract.
That's a different-
that's
Okay.
correct.
Right, that's a different matter. We as a town have agreed to accept this, so we're at least on the hook for our share of it. We're no longer, the courts have let us out of covering the state share of it. But we still have to, as it stands now, cover our share of it.
But we still have to cover our share? Pardon?
It's a contract, you've got a union,
Yeah,
you have to modify the contract.
Okay,
but
But, I mean, it's a contract now, or it's the contract will be updated. I mean, it's really up to our town administrator in future negotiations to decide whether that stays in or goes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
because some other information is coming, I have to just about information. The Quinn bill was voted on at the special town meeting of September 11th, 1974.
September 11th, was that good?
September 11th, 1974, and the contract states the selectmen agree to carry out the provisions of section 108L, chapter 41, the so-called Quinn bill providing education benefits for employees of the Wareham Police Department, each statute accepted by the town at the special town meeting of September 11th, 1974. In minutes of that town meeting, the motion was made and it was voted that the town accept the provisions of chapter 41, section 108L of the Massachusetts General Laws providing for police career incentive pay programs, salary increases in accordance with point accumulations and reimbursements by the Commonwealth for 1/2 of the cost of such payments. So now we're in a situation, it was the town that voted it. I don't know that the selectmen or the town administrator have the right to negotiate it out or to make any adjustments by their votes. I think it has to go back to the town meeting to pay the other half,
So, yeah.
But
to pay the other half. And we have something, and part of the problem we now have is like this year, we put in the budget 363, that's true. But according to what was passed and has not been repealed, all right, we're only authorized to pay our town side, right, which we can do until such time as that sum has been reached, which is 208,000. So sometime in January, that state portion, which is not gonna be reimbursed, should be stopped.
Exactly.
And actually, this whole thing started, they stopped paying into 2009, and at that point, this should have gone into effect. So if nothing else, you know, we paid 2 years worth
Well,
that technically we weren't authorized to pay.
and this was, in my mind, the point of the whole committee is to bring these facts up, and the selectmen have to agree to put it on the warrant. They have to bring it forward to the body. We can't bring it forward to the body.
I would think they would have to bring it forward, Madam Chairman, as to pay the non-reimbursable portion.
We've just been doing this, what you're saying. In other words, what you're saying is the original article that passed never said, oh, we have to stop, the state stopped paying, we're gonna kick in their part too.
It's,
Yes, the
It's
way
just
that passed
doing
town
it.
meeting, we should have been really a party to the suit that went to the state court.
We should have stopped paying it.
We should have stopped paying it.
Okay.
We should stop paying it
ASAP.
now. It's $3,000 a week.
If I may, Madam Chair, there's no requirement to stop paying it until such time as we reach the $210,000 or $203,000 limit. All right, so I would have thought it would have been nice if the issue had been addressed earlier in the year, so the police department could opt as to whether they wanted it all in the first 6 months or they wanted to spread it over the year. But we don't have any legal issues at this point. We will have legal issues when the warrants are signed after January 1st.
Yes, Don.
What is the procedure for us to get it stopped now? What measures do we need to take? A motion, a warrant, what?
My understanding is that we bring the facts to the selectmen, and then the selectmen make the decision whether they're even going to bring it to the body. Am I incorrect? I don't know.
two different matters I think you're talking about.
Okay.
First of all is the current, see if I've got it right. First of all is the current budget. We have a budget for $369,000. Legally, we should only have a budget for this line item, $203,000. So what Frank is saying is once we pay beyond $203,000, that extra money is not legally responsibility. We really shouldn't, we're not really authorized to do that. That's outside of what needs to go before town meeting, I believe. I think that's an administrative matter and a budgetary matter. That's an adjustment between the Board of Selectmen should direct the town administrator to sit with the chief of police and correct this oversight. Then we can go back to town meeting if it's a problem and ask the body if we really do want to reimburse the full, or if we want to restructure our contracts, if we want to restructure our pay. Again, this dates back to 1970, when police officers weren't typically college educated. That's changed a lot.
Yes, Donna?
Again, my question is, do we just send a letter to the Board of Selectmen?
That's what I'm trying to.
Again, I'm asking, let's make a decision here, what has to be done?
Madam Chair, it seemed to me that we've had this discussion before. The reality is that, yes, we report to the town meeting, but the discussion seems to also have centered the fact that we need to give, from the Finance Committee's point of view, our guidance to the Board of Selectmen. That letter, of course, becomes a public document
Exactly.
with a copy to the town administrator. If the Board of Selectmen and if the town administrator choose not to take action, you can still render a report in the town, the document that the town produces as the town report. But no matter how we get around it, that's a contractual, and that is a selectman, and that is a town administrator.
I would like to see a written report submitted to the Board of Selectmen and a copy to the town accountant. And I would like to see Marilyn, are you in charge of the media?
I can do that, yeah.
I think we should give a report of what we're working on and the different, and make sure that this gets out to the public.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I would suggest that the committee submit a report to the FinCom
Yes.
who in turn sends a copy of that report, that in the process of examining the Quinn bill, we found the following fact, that there was an unauthorized portion that was being paid. We want to bring it to their attention so they can take the appropriate action to correct it. That sort of takes we don't have to do anything beyond that point, other than say that, hey, we did our job, we did what the charter said we could, we asked for certain documents, we got them, we examined them, we discovered a budget deficiency, and we're asking to correct it. Now,
I mean, we are looking for publicity
Yeah, okay.
though, too. I mean, this is a huge article that the FinCom has worked on. And why not have the FinCom put an article out? And I'm asking you, my fellow colleagues, should we, after we make the selectmen aware?
May I? I have no problems with us trying to put that together. I can put my inputs out while we tell Maryland, and then see if we can go to a document. And I'm sure if I run it by your vice chair, some additional edits can be inputted before we bring it before the finance committee.
Yes.
The difficulty becomes, is if we are required, because there's 3 people that have a subcommittee meeting, and to gather, and to make a meeting, I don't think we have enough time between now and, it's because you have to schedule, anytime you wanna have a discussion, you've gotta have a meeting. And this thing becomes very cumbersome. Now, if I send an email to Marilyn, and she sends one to me, or if I send one to Tom and Marilyn, at which point do we find ourselves in violation of the open meeting law? But yet, how do we put something together that we want to bring back before the finance committee as a document that you can review, you can edit, and then send that on and make it part of the town report? I'm seeking your guidance at this point because, as I said to you before, the open meeting law is working wonderfully in preventing,
Preventing any work getting done.
yes,
I would do a report to the finance committee. Subcommittee, do a formal report to the finance committee.
We don't need to re-meet for that, because we.
Exactly, you've already done that.
And we made a recommendation, we
So Marilyn,
motion and all of that jazz.
would you make that report to the FinCom, and we will,
okay, you're not answering my question. My question was, at which point, if I want to do something electronically, do I violate the open meeting law? Now, this is what it is. This is where it's fish or cut bait for an answer, because I'm not going to get myself where I'm sending, Marilyn, this is my take on the report, and vice versa.
I would suggest, I will throw this out there purely pragmatically, if you will, and I will see if I can get myself covered after the fact. But what is going to go into that report was discussed in an open meeting, and it's being
Sure.
further discussed here. So really, it's just the technicality of the verbiage to make sure that you are agreeing with what we said in the open. We're not debating, we're not introducing any new facts.
Exactly.
We're really,
exactly.
we're looking at exactly what Tom is saying is we're approving the minutes, but we're actually just making it formal. We presented an oral report tonight because I wasn't sure if you all wanted to weigh in, if there were any other issues that perhaps we hadn't examined before we go ahead and solidify this.
It's been posted, is it covered?
Is the chair satisfied with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
I'll
so
send you my
send me your
version
notes
of what
and I
happened.
will put it grammatically correct. You can add what you think. And
I have
if,
great faith in you, get it
So,
done.
I mean,
You know,
Can you get something to me for next week? Okay.
We got it on tape.
Yes.
And I think it should be loud. This is very,
It's big.
very big.
It's one of the biggest
Yeah.
projects, and I thank you all, the three of you,
I
for
don't
working
think
on
we should
this.
do this quietly at all.
thank you, Don, but I'd like to bring up one more point.
Mhm.
It's not going to be very popular with town employees whose salaries we're proposing to cut. You get guys who work very hard for their money and have a budget and are
But
going to be taken
But we're
care
not
of.
proposing anything, we're just putting out the
Okay.
facts.
And that's how I would like to look at this. I would look at this as this is a financial
Exactly.
decision, and this is information that needs to be made, and that's how it
We're
is.
purely an advisory committee.
Their gripe is with the state, not us.
Exactly.
Madam Chair, I would like to agree with Dominic for
Okay.
change.
Ah, the boy Frank!
Hold it. Can I get a repeat of what he said, because
We have it on tape.
what specifically did you say, Don, that he agreed with?
Their gripe is, I remember
With the
this, say
state.
it, you say
Their
it, there you
Their
go.
gripe is with the state, not with the town.
Yes, go ahead, Gordon.
And to address Meryl's last statement, you know what? Everybody's got hard times right now, and people are lucky to have jobs.
That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, so this might mean one more officer on the street than somebody losing their job. So they need to look at it that way, the realistic way.
And I applaud you for tackling the issue. It's a huge issue, and thank you for all your past time and your future time.
And I'm sorry, I was gonna say, you've been aware of this, I think Dick Paulson broke it out, made the police department break it out as a line item in 2009 when we first became aware we weren't being reimbursed for it, and what a big chunk of the budget it is, and it's taken us 3 years to figure it out, that, yeah, this is what we're at. And we don't have a number, as
Well-
Dawn rightly pointed out, and I'm not sure we can come up with the additional benefits
We only recently had the court decision
that allows us.
that allows us to do something. So, okay, moving on. Water pollution control I don't know, some things were just put on here to just cover us in case, they were to come up, but I don't have anything. Is there anything on the capital planning to report? Mr.
You heard the bulk of it tonight, and basically what we're trying to do is, since we weren't going to have to bond the minor forest school, we still want to show some sensitivity to the stabilization fund, right? We felt anything less than 25,000 is incorrect, right? But we also feel that we need to replace some assets and do some repairs to the buildings. One of the things the capital planning committee has been struggling with for a very long time is that no money was being dedicated to the care and maintenance of the buildings. And now we have two critical issues. We have a library that the windows are continuously leaking, and we have a roof that is going to continuously get worse in the gymnasium. And that's really what they're focused on right now. The defibrillators was a conversation that we talked about at our last meeting. Clear understanding that these defibrillators are far different. The actual cost of the defibrillators is approximately $40,000 a piece. It's $160,000, of which the town is only obligated to 10% if the grant comes through. And you notice they've only asked for the portion that would be the town.
Right.
If the grant doesn't come through, then the 15,000 is a moot point.
We might have them running down the road with the defibrillators with no ambulance.
Right.
Okay.
On the school side, if I may, the action committee, now when wisecracks, folks, the action committee met last night. And a decision was made to do basically two things going forward, two actions to be completed in the next 3 weeks. One is the town administrator will be putting together an RFP to go out for outsourcing the entire busing system. We will put that together in conjunction with the superintendent and representative from the capital planning committee. The other thing they'll be doing is also looking very hard at continuing to run it as our own, with the town responsible for the purchasing and refurbishing of school buses. Something has come up where I guess the National Guard in Maine, the Maine Military Authority, which is a state agency, is working with the National Guard Bureau in Maine to refurbish school buses because the chassis and engines are capable of going 10 years longer than the bodies. And they've asked to come down and give us a presentation, or give the town a presentation, as long as some of the state officials, because they would like to expand that business. It's a quasi-organization that employs civilians, and what they're doing is they're trying to keep all their civilians employed. So that was another question, is could we look at a refurbishment program? The RFP that will go out to the operating companies. One is for what we all want, our current level of service. The other would be a bare minimum and then something in the middle. That's what's being developed.
Okay.
And they're supposed to be reporting that in 3 weeks to that committee as to what the picture looks like. And then the decision at that point will be made to either outsource it or keep it in-house. If this decision is made to keep it in-house, then that brings in the refurbishment idea as well as other financing ideas. We'll go forward from there. That should move a little quicker than this original RFP.
Mhm.
There will be one and one only RFP, and it's under the auspices of the town administrator, not the school committee.
Okay. David?
2 things, if I might. When Maine does make their presentation, be aware that there are many maintenance facilities at Army National Guard buildings. They are federal buildings. State owns the armories, but for the most part, what they call an organizational maintenance shop employs civilians, and they work inside of a federal building. It's a fine point, but just put that aside. The other question I have is more directly at the capital planning. Lynn Miranda has done an awful lot of good things with a small amount of money. I guess my concern has been, or is becoming, if the capital planning moves to pick up some of this stuff, are we gonna treat it the same way we treat the town? Is right now, I see Ann Miranda struggling hard to keep the buildings up to snuff, and our track record of keeping the town buildings up to snuff, if I would use the word dismal, would be a compliment.
We also, may actually have a piece of legislation in front of the legislature that certain revenues will be put aside for capital items. And that's part of the feeling that that has to be a commitment that has to be made. There also has to be a commitment made to the capital plan. I would also like to assure Mr. Durrell that what we're talking about is major repairs. We're not talking about fixing the toilets or fixing, but when things like the boiler come along and things like that, and
I understand that.
that's really what it's set for.
Capital versus expenses.
I think the school committee has the ability, as our town moderator pointed out, to apply serious pressure to the town when it comes to safety issues in the buildings, such as, fire, heat, light, power, and all that kinds of stuff. We need some clarification once we have it. I think the committee will move forward with it. Hopefully, that's a few more
Very, very good. Okay. Any other, I'd entertain a motion to approve the meeting, the minutes of the meeting of August.
Can I go back for a second, I'm sorry? This might not have to do with the liaison, but the water pollution control facility.
Yeah.
Getting back to this Article 15, these unpaid bills, okay? Derek was saying that Woodward Current goes with for water pollution studies. In this article, it said that the town should pay it. What would it take to get that to come out of the water pollution control facility budget? Is that something that I'm wrong in saying? It's almost $10,000.
Yeah, that
You know
was,
what I mean?
I know that was approved by the selectmen at the time. And I do recall the presentation, because I went to that presentation for the sewer capacity, where they were wondering about, because it was when they were heavily pushing Westfield, and would we be able to cover Westfield, and
Do you believe it's a town expense, not water pollution control? Because, I mean, you gotta remember, they got a $6 million, $5 million budget.
If I may, Donna,
Yes.
let me try to explain it. I think what Derek was saying was, they have budget, but they have their budget accounted for. This wasn't something that they wanted, it wasn't something that they agreed to pay for, it was something the town commissioned.
the town was looking to know what the capacity was in order for future building.
I understand all that, I'm just saying, is it right that the town picks that up and not the water pollution control. Is not worth
I would
pushing
say,
that issue.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's to better
Okay.
the whole town.
That's all I wanna know, that's all I wanna ask.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you want to paint your tenant's apartment and you get an estimate and you have to pay for an estimate, you can't charge that to the tenant because he didn't ask for it, they're the one that wants to do it. So it's kind of that same philosophy.
All right,
Okay,
answer my question.
But I'd like to see the numbers.
I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of August 22nd.
Make a
So
motion.
moved. Yeah, here you go. I'll second.
All those in favor, any corrections or anything? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstention?
Abstain.
Marilyn says she wasn't here. Okay, any new business?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Under new business, I need a motion that the vice chair, all right, will add an addendum to the Court and Bill Committee's report based on the discussions held here tonight. Otherwise, I can't help them without an open meeting law
So
violation.
okay, I hear.
I'll second that.
Well, we have to have a motion first.
I'll make a motion.
I got the motion.
Okay, do you have the motion, Kelly?
I think so.
Okay,
What is it? What's the motion?
That I can add an addendum
Addendum.
to your report based on the discussions here tonight.
In the
There were additional facts added tonight that can't appear in your report unless I'm authorized to put them in the agenda. Otherwise, we have to have an open meeting.
They were actually
For
discussed
me to
at the
sit there
meeting,
with
they were
you,
presented
and you-
tonight, so they were
Okay.
discussed at the original meeting, but,
Yes,
okay.
I can't add to your report unless we do that.
I'll make a motion that the vice chair can.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm also, so you know,
Thank-
one of the
okay.
we talked about tonight, you can't
All
have
right.
new stuff.
The other thing on the new business, I was gonna say that, I did submit those, Kelly, you gave those letters to the selectmen,
Yes.
right? That Marilyn drafted, and, I haven't heard anything back from them. I know, I'm surprised, I know.
Those, I apologize because I wasn't at the meeting, but those letters were approved here
Yes,
at this meeting.
Yes.
So they're of public record.
yes, they are.
They can get posted on our website.
They were attached to the minutes, and they were attached to what I gave to the town clerk, so they should be scanned and attached to this.
Could we scan it and have it up just as a, do we want to do that? I mean, that's part of the
Yeah, that'd be a
getting
good,
notice out there that we.
but I guess, shouldn't we get some kind of response from the Board of Selectmen?
You would think you would, but I guess not.
Posted as a public document on the website. If they choose to do nothing, that wouldn't be a major surprise to us. It just puts a little more pressure on me.
I agree.
Oh, we also could make it part of a, finance, we discussed media, and we discussed, breaking down important parts of our meetings with Bob. And, I really wanna get this stuff out to the public. I want them to know that we're working hard for them and what we're doing, and we're not dropping the ball. And I want to make the selectmen accountable.
Well, we could have an open area of the minutes for sort of continuing items on there that we could keep the thing fresh for everybody, so a meeting wouldn't go by where we weren't aware that it was an open item. But if we gotta work to my sense is that this committee and the Board of Selectmen are, it's a little bit of sword points, that's probably over.
I don't think so. I don't think
But
so.
I would like it to be I would like to get the sense that we're really trying to cooperate and help that
I
group
think that's always been,
be
it's
successful.
always been, but we also discussed using the media to tell them different points that we're doing. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, the finance committee has taken the time to look at this situation, and we've done this situation. And we're doing what we said we were gonna do. We were going to make the public aware of the things that we're discussing, that, the big issues. Yes, Warren.
I think there's nothing wrong with that, as long as it's kept in perspective, and that is that we go through the chain that, of events that we should, and that is do the report, we've done the meeting, we've analyzed the data, we present the report to the Board of Selectmen along with a cover letter of the, this is highly recommended from the Finance Committee that, we should take action as this, whatever it is we choose to do. In conjunction with that, their subcommittee report will be a part of our minutes, will be submitted and viewable by anyone. And then again, if you wish to go ahead and, publish an article in the media of, just the facts, people, this is.
Exactly,
This
just
is
the
the facts,
facts.
and this is for your information and for the public's knowledge,
Exactly.
then we could do that. I don't ever wanna see a rush to get something out in the media before it is presented to, the leaders of this
I
town.
agree with you 100%, and I think the former chair does too. But one thing that the former chair worked very hard in establishing a good rapport with the media, and they have said to us, hey, look, we are willing to publish something. I don't want to be controversial in any manner. I just want to let folks know what we're doing, appropriately let them know.
And I agree, and I have no problem with those letters that were sent to then be sent to, they can be sent to the newspaper, and they can be put forth that way.
Right.
Certainly, I agree with Bonnie, they need to go to the Board of Selectmen first and give them a chance to
Absolutely.
respond. Some are more or less controversial, but we've got a minimal response because Derek said that Powers and Sullivan is going to be here for 2 days at the end of this month.
Yes.
So maybe that means
Right.
that somebody really woke up and
Yeah,
that will be done, but.
I think that we really pushed that at a few meetings.
But I think, knowing that the thing bill is going to be very controversial, can I just finish my?
No, it's just trying to, everybody used to signal me and. These are the
I
random
think
down.
Marilyn wasn't here then, so
I
you have to
know.
give a little leeway.
I know. So I think the letter about the emergency management and the lessons learned
Right.
was kind of timely. We're in hurricane season. I don't have a problem with putting that out there in hopes that lessons really were learned and something's being done about that, although it would be nice to know that we've had a response. So maybe if I'm going to be PR liaison, maybe I can check in with somebody, or Board of Selectmen, and say, we're going to post this because it's hurricane season. Did you guys acknowledge this? Have you talked about it before I say
That's
something?
fine.
Give them a heads up, it's transparency. It's not really controversial. It's just something that was overlooked and needs to be done.
Exactly.
And the same thing's good. That way we have some kind of format in place for when the twin bill is going to come out and hit. And we're going to send that letter, and we'll give them a period of time to respond and acknowledge, and we can do the same thing at that point. Is that?
And I agree, and we're doing nothing but presenting the public with the facts.
Right.
Not opinions, just the facts.
That's the facts, I mean.
Facts, Jack.
Okay, any other new business? Yes,
Yeah.
He was waving his
I'm
hand.
sorry.
She forgets anyway.
I'm
so,
sorry, I'm sorry.
At one time, we were supposed to meet with one of the publishers. We actually talked about having space, a column called For the Record,
Mhm.
where we could put this type of information, et cetera. Did you ever get in touch with her? Or?
No, I didn't, but I was, the reason I didn't get in touch with her, I wanted to talk to Marilyn, because she's doing the media, and I wanted her to, come to the meeting, schedule a meeting with her.
No, that's fine, it's just that,
Yeah,
that's
and,
one of the
and I
avenues
will, I will do that,
that we had tried to set up.
I will do that this week, because you worked hard to get that in place.
I do have one more new business item,
Yes.
and that was I received an email yesterday from the town accountant requesting a meeting on Friday as his liaison to discuss the format for the reports.
Oh, good, okay.
So I want to make mention, he has reached out and said.
Wait, say that word again? Did you say reports?
Yes.
We actually had a format before, he wants to understand how that works.
The other thing is the pamphlet that I gave you to the Association of Town Finance Committees. I'm going to go up. If anyone else wants to go to this, let's get some people to go up there. They're providing the handbooks to
Who's
everyone.
paying?
I've always paid myself.
Here's the fee,
See, I know
What,
that.
what is the fee?
I've always paid myself.
And we have a,
$45.
we have a budget. We probably spent it all on Kelly and printing, but other than that,
Do we have anything that we can talk to Derek?
Yeah, we can talk
It's
to
not in the budget.
It's not in the budget.
No, we have no travel budget,
Yeah.
not travel, but
no conferences budget.
no conferences.
What is the expense?
There it is.
It's $45.
There's also the Mass Municipal Association meeting, it's $150.
Yeah.
All right, which is also very, very, very useful in
Yes.
the spring, when we don't
Yes.
have any money for that either.
So, anyone that's,
This one is 45.
I'm not sure, that's what it looks like.
it's
Oh, it is, yeah,
$45.
I found the last page.
Okay.
What day of the week is the 20th on?
It's a
It's
Saturday.
usually a Saturday. I mean, I found them to be, very interesting.
Saturday the 20th.
Oh, see? I'm only reading- I'm only reading
Here's what kidding school.
Wait a minute, Marilyn, if you go, you
It's
qualify
open
for the $40 discount rate.
Why is that?
But it says less than
Oh, less
one
than
year
1
on
year
the
on the
committee.
I'll take that $5, baby, that'll buy me lunch.
Not in
Oh,
Boston,
it
it won't.
includes a hot lunch, oh, all
Okay,
right.
yeah, it does. So, anybody that's interested, you wanna contact me, you wanna go up by yourselves, we can, I mean, we can go up together.
What's the open meeting problem with this?
None.
We,
there's none
no,
now?
it's not now. We won't talk about it in the car.
Why don't you don't talk about the town stuff while you're at the meeting?
So, if there, anybody can get back to me and who would like to go to this, you know, we can carpool that way. I mean, I certainly don't mind driving up there. I drove to Boston for years.
So just gets us on the agenda for next
Yes.
week and we'll bring out.
Yeah, bring them back to me next week and then I'll get them sent in. Is there any other new business? The next meeting will be next week. And I'll look to get the harbor master in here and somebody,
Town accountant.
town accountant,
CPC.
CPC, yes, CPC. Okay. CPC, town accountant, and harbor master. Okay. Given that, folks, I'd like to,
Motion.
Motion to
adjourn.
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Good night and thank you all for all your work.